Hello everyone, it is day 94 of Lifeteams. This is Lifeteams update number 6. Wow, day 94. It's almost day 100. I've been here quite a bit of time, and I hope through these videos that you've seen the changes that have happened and taken place through just the experiences and the opportunities God has taken to teach me something. I don't know if you guys seen near the bottom, there's a little page counter, and it says it goes up every time someone views this page, and it's almost at 700 views, which is absolutely amazing, unless one of you is just clicking refresh repeatedly or something. But I don't know who these videos or these posts or this blog is reaching, but I'm just glad it's there, and that I might have the opportunity to speak God's truth to the people. If you're new here, I hope that is conveyed in that way. I wanted to talk to you guys about the day on the streets we just did. Well, not just did. It's been a week since we did it, but I have been going to Christmas parties, and I've had placement, and for one, and I've had things like an essay, 3-page essay about what we just did. So about the very same topic. Anyways, as you guys may or may not know, we had our day on the streets. So from 12 till 8 p.m. we were at East Hastings, being homeless, basically. Essentially, just we had to find a place to eat and a place to stay the night, potentially, if we needed to. And so that was our goal today, or not today, but during that experience, which was, yeah. Anyways, as we were driving to Vancouver, I don't know what was going through everyone's minds, or I was excited. I was so excited to get to have this experience and just have the experience of being homeless during that day, and in a safe environment. Like, Hastings isn't safe, but yeah, it was a safe environment generally, because Rob and a bunch of people were looking out for us. So as we exited the van, we drew names out of the hat for who would be paired up with who, and I got paired up with Nikki, which is interesting because we never really get to have that relationship building experience, really. So I got to spend 8 hours with her. As we left, we prayed for our day, and after that, I told her, let's go look for resources. And so we went, and places to eat and stay. So we went to UGM, which is United Gospel Mission, I believe, and Salvation Army, but they were both closed. So not all these places are open as we want them to be, which is kind of unfortunate, but it was okay. Anyways, we went to a YWCA, which is funny because I wasn't really allowed in, and yeah, we asked for information. We're like, where are we? We don't know what's going on, kind of thing. So they gave us a pamphlet, and in this pamphlet it said all the places you could eat at what times, and yeah, it was interesting in that way. We were just walking to go to the bathroom, and we walked into First United Church, and we saw a lineup, so we just waited in line to see what had happened, and it was a lineup for food, which was great. We didn't even have to look for food. It was in the sense that that we had to go to this list and go for it, but it was already there, so that was good. And it was, I believe it was, that was an interesting experience, just waiting in line with all these people, which they do every day, for however long they do it. I don't know how long they've been there, but it was definitely an interesting experience, and the looks that we got, because I don't think we really fit in. They knew we, like, the people down there knew we weren't homeless, and they were just like, what are these people doing here? But we still got served nonetheless. And yeah, part of the whole experience was finding something to do. I couldn't even imagine being homeless, because there's just nothing to do. What do you do with your day? We walked around and we walked around some more, and we sat in a park and watched seagulls attack this one person because they fed them bread, and they're like mutant seagulls from like the coast, so they're like chickens and they fly. Anyways, we ended up going over to the community center, where we just sat there on the steps and watched what happened in front of us. And we saw a lot of drug deals go on, mostly of prescription medication, so it wasn't that bad. And we eventually got asked to leave after sitting there for like a half hour or so. And me and Nikki were cold, so after we got asked to leave, because we just sat up and now we realized just how cold we were, which is another thing. We walked into this church and we didn't even know it was the Salvation Army Church. And this place was playing 10,000 BC, so we sat and watched that for a bit and had coffee and warmed up. And the people there, like the staff, I was wondering how come they didn't come up to us and ask us what we're doing. But anyways, an interesting and relatively scary experience. Me and Nikki were going down several alleys, and we went down this one alley, and we I guess I had a feeling that we shouldn't be there, but I was kind of, I don't know what happened. Anyways, we're walking up to this alley, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to me, and he's just like, what do you want, kind of thing. And he has in his hand, I don't know what it is, like a bag of crack cocaine, and he's waving in front of my face like as if I'm going to buy it. And I'm like, oh, I just want to pass through the alley. That's all I want to do. And they're like, so what are you doing here? And I'm just like, I just want to go down the alley. At this point, and this is pretty interesting and scary at the same time, but I kept my cool. And I made sure that Nikki was far enough that she could run away if she needed to. But anyways, they surrounded me. I didn't know this at the time, but Nikki told me that they surrounded me. And yeah, that was a pretty interesting experience. They were surrounding me, probably going to beat the crap out of me. But the main leader guy, or whoever it was, probably the drug dealer, I don't know. Those guys were just buying drugs from this guy, but the drug dealer said, let him go, let him go through this alley. So Nikki and I just walked off, and we talked about that for like the next half hour. And oh man, that was an interesting experience. So something I learned is to keep you have to keep your head down in while you're there. I mean, Hastings is the extreme of homelessness, but I'm sure it applies in all situations. You know. Anyways, on part of our assignment, we were asked to sit down in a place for 2 hours and just watch. So guess where me and Nikki picked? We picked the marketplace in Hastings, where everyone was lined up selling perhaps stolen goods or whatever, drugs mostly, and we sat there right in the middle of everything. And for that 2 hours, we actually sat beside a guy who was dealing drugs, and we were invisible to everybody. They just walked by, unless they wanted to sell us something. Then they would say something like, want to buy a pack of smokes, want to buy batteries, or whatever. Or are you feeling down, which is a code word for buying downers, which Nikki informed me of. Anyways, we sat beside a drug dealer, and he had a bag with him, and it had, from what I seen, he had marijuana or pot or weed, whatever, and crack, lots of crack. There was a person smoking crack beside us. Who else? What else? Cocaine, of course. Cocaine was one of them. And anyways, that was an interesting experience. As we were sitting there, we were just sitting on the pavement. The lady beside us offered us her coat, and she's like, "You want to sit on this?" Which was really, it struck me like, these guys, I'm not saying they don't have heart, but like, come on, we're just a couple of youth no one really cares about at that situation. And she comes and says she wanted to sit on this coat. It's better than the pavement. And we say, sure, thank you. And we sit on this coat, which was really crazy. Anyways, we were sitting there and we watch as this Vancouver police officer starts walking, and I'm like, Nikki, he's going to come talk to us, so let me speak, because I knew he was going to come talk to us. He saw a couple of youth sitting on the side of a street. He walks over and he's like, so what are you guys doing here? In like the most intense and negative kind of way. And we're just like, I just automatically tell him we're students from Lifeteams and we're doing this day on the streets, and he doesn't quite believe us, so he asked us, how old are you? And we're like, oh, I'm 20 and Nikki is 18. And he's like, so what are you doing here? And I told him we're having our day on the streets and what we're doing, and so his demeanor changes right away. He says, so what do you guys think? What do you think of all this? And we tell him what's going on in our hearts at the time, and I say to him, I was like, thank you so much for just coming to us and telling us what are you doing here. For the whole day, I didn't have anyone come up to us in the sense that he did and tell us to get off the streets, essentially. He had concern because he didn't want to see another youth. So I'm glad that the Vancouver Police Department, or this guy from the Vancouver Police Department, did this, and he had a smile on his face and he walked away because he had to deal with some other guy who was hallucinating. So our 2 hours were done, and our instructor came up to us while we were sitting there, and he kind of blew our cover, kind of, not in that sense, but people were wondering what we're doing. I mean, we just spoke with a police officer, and they were just like, what the heck? So we left. Our whole plan from the beginning of the day was to go to UGM and UGM United Gospel Mission and get something to eat. So we stood in line for an hour in line outside in the cold, and we were waiting for food. I remember just I don't know, I just felt like I didn't really belong there in this, and I just anyways. It was good that I was feeling that way. I was experiencing what it was like to be anyway, we went inside the United Gospel Mission. We had to sit through a service, which was okay for me because I'm a Christian. All our life teamers did, but I don't know how it'd be if you were homeless and you had to listen to this get food, which you know, I had a problem with all the other ministries because they were basically enabling homelessness by just serving them and doing nothing with it. But this place did a little service. Other places do more community things. But anyways, we got our food, and I remember having the feeling of just, it was so weird because I'm so used to serving, and to be on the receiving end of that, it was just like, it just felt out of place, and I was like, what's going on, kind of thing. But I ate up my food regardless. I was hungry. And yeah, and then we headed to the van and headed home, and it was just a really interesting experience. I guess the question I left with, and I leave you guys with, is this. When you go into places where you serve, or you know, you're in that position where you are giving food, or you are working with a youth, or you are doing something in that way, what are your motives? Are you there to fix the problem? Are you going to be the superhero? I've been told that approach will almost always be leading to being burnt out as a youth worker, as a servant of God. Something I've learned is that you should go with this in mind. How can I show the love of Jesus to these people who don't get love? And see the homeless and other youth or whatever as someone who is made in the image of God. Go there as a server rather than a servant, you know. So that's basically what happened for that day, and I leave you guys with that question.